What if I told you that the most dangerous enemy you will ever face in your life doesn't carry a weapon, doesn't threaten you in the dark, and doesn't even announce itself when it arrives? What if the force that is silently dismantling your potential, your relationships, your clarity, and your future is something you voluntarily invite into your life dozens, sometimes hundreds, of times a day? What if the greatest lie ever sold to your generation is the idea that staying connected means staying ahead? Because here is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Distraction is not a bad habit. Distraction is not a productivity problem. Distraction is a war, and most people are losing it without even knowing the battle has begun. You have been told to manage your time. You have bought planners, downloaded apps, set alarms, made promises to yourself on Sunday nights. And yet, Monday morning arrives, and by 10 a.m. you have already spent 40 minutes doing nothing that actually matters. You scroll, you check, you react, you respond, and somewhere between the notification sounds and the endless feed, hours disappear. And so does the version of you that was supposed to build something extraordinary. This is not about willpower. This is not about discipline in the traditional sense. What is happening to you goes far deeper than the surface level of just put your phone down. What is happening to you is the systematic hijacking of the most powerful resource you possess. Not your money, not your network, not your talent, your attention. Imagine a man named Marcus. He wakes up every morning with fire in his chest. He has a vision, a business he wants to build, a creative project that haunts him at night, a version of himself he can almost see but can never quite touch. Marcus is intelligent. Marcus is motivated. Marcus genuinely wants to change his life. But Marcus has a ritual he doesn't even recognize as a ritual. Before his feet hit the floor, his hand reaches for his phone. He tells himself it's just to check the time, but 11 minutes later, he is watching a video about someone else's life, comparing himself to a stranger, absorbing outrage from a headline, and feeling a fog descend over the clarity he had when he first opened his eyes. By the time Marcus actually begins his day, he has already lost the war, not because he is weak, but because he never understood the battlefield. This is the story of millions of people right now. Maybe it is your story. The philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote in the 17th century that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Think about what that means. Before smartphones, before social media, before the attention economy existed as a concept, Pascal already understood that the restless mind, the mind that cannot tolerate stillness, is the root of human suffering. He was not talking about meditation retreats or monastic silence. He was talking about the terrifying discomfort of being alone with your own thoughts and the compulsive need to escape that discomfort through external noise. Now take that ancient truth and multiply it by the engineered precision of modern technology, and you begin to understand the scale of what you are facing. Nir Eyal, who spent years working inside Silicon Valley before writing about how tech companies engineer addiction, revealed that every notification, every infinite scroll, every red badge icon on your apps is the result of billions of dollars and thousands of the brightest minds on the planet working with one singular goal: to capture your attention and never give it back. This is not an accident. This is architecture. You are not distracted because you are weak. You are distracted because you are the product. But here is where the conversation must shift, because understanding the mechanism of the trap is only the beginning. The real question, the question that separates those who reclaim their power from those who surrender it entirely, is this: what are you willing to become in order to fight back? The answer is not a productivity hack. The answer is not a digital detox weekend. The answer is something far more ancient, far more demanding, and far more transformative. The answer is what I call the architecture of attention. This is the deliberate, intentional, and ruthless construction of an internal environment where deep focus is not the exception. It is the foundation. Where distraction is not managed, it is understood, anticipated, and neutralized before it ever reaches you. The architecture of attention is not about what you stop doing. It is about what you begin to become. Let me build this for you, layer by layer. The first layer is what the Stoics called prosoch, the practice of radical self-observation. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and one of the most powerful men who ever lived, spent every morning in a practice of internal inventory. Before the demands of the empire could reach him, he would sit with his own mind, examining where his attention had drifted the day before, identifying the patterns of distraction that pulled him from what mattered most. In his meditations, he wrote not for an audience, but for himself, because he understood that the man who cannot observe his own mind is a man who is controlled by it. Your first task is to become a scientist of your own attention. For 3 days, track every moment your focus shifts. Do not judge it, just record it. You will be disturbed by what you find. The second layer is what I call the war of the first hour. The morning is not just a time of day. The morning is a declaration. What you do in the first 60 minutes after you wake up sends a signal to every system in your body and mind about who is in control, you or the external world. The warriors of ancient Japan understood this. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, wrote in The Book of Five, "Brings that the mind must be clear before the body moves. A samurai who entered battle with a clouded mind had already lost before the first strike. Your phone is the first enemy that arrives every morning with a sword drawn, and every morning you hand it the victory before the day has even begun. Reclaim the first hour. No phone, no news, no external input, only intention, only direction, only you deciding what this day will mean." The third layer is what neuroscientists call deep work. A concept popularized by Cal Newport, but rooted in something much older, the simple, brutal understanding that the quality of your output is directly proportional to the depth of your focus. Shallow work, the emails, the notifications, the reactive tasks, can be done in a distracted state. But the work that builds empires, that creates art, that changes lives, requires you to go into a place of singular, undivided attention for extended periods of time. And every interruption, every single one, costs you not just the seconds it takes to check a message, but the full 23 minutes it takes for your brain to re-enter the depth of focus you just abandoned. 23 minutes. Every single time. Calculate what you have lost. Then decide if the notification was worth it. The fourth layer is the hardest and the most necessary. It is the layer of identity reconstruction. Because here is the psychological truth that most productivity conversations never reach. You will not sustain new behaviors if you still see yourself as a distracted person trying to be disciplined. You must change the story you tell about yourself. You must begin to see yourself not as someone who is trying to focus, but as someone for whom deep attention is a core value, a non-negotiable, a defining characteristic. When someone offers you a distraction, you do not say, "I'm trying to avoid my phone." You say, "That's not who I am." The moment a behavior becomes identity, it no longer requires willpower. It requires only consistency with your own self-image. The fifth layer is what I call controlled exposure, and this is where many people resist because it sounds like an argument for moderation. It is not. It is an argument for sovereignty. There are things in the modern world that demand your attention and cannot be entirely avoided. Social media for business, news for context, communication for relationships. The question is never whether to engage. The question is always, who is in control when you do. A warrior who enters the arena chooses when he fights, how he fights, and when he walks away. He is never dragged in. Build the walls around your attention first. Then, from inside those walls, choose when to open the gate. The difference between engagement and addiction is always the same single variable: who initiated the interaction. Now I need to speak to the part of you that is resisting this. There is a voice inside you right now, maybe quiet, maybe loud, that is saying, "I already know this," or "I'll start next week," or "My situation is different." I know that voice. I have heard it myself. And I need you to understand what that voice is. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is not discernment. That voice is the sound of a mind that has been so thoroughly colonized by distraction that it has begun to defend its own captor. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance reduction. The mind's desperate attempt to make peace with behaviors it knows are destroying it, rather than face the discomfort of actual change. The cost of not changing is not just wasted time. The cost of not changing is the version of you that never existed, the business that was never built, the relationship that was never deepened, the book that was never written, the idea that died inside you because you never gave it the silence it needed to become real. You will reach the end of your life, and the most haunting question will not be, "What did I fail at?" It will be, "What did I never begin, because I was always distracted?" That is the real violence of distraction. It doesn't kill the life you have. It kills the life you could have had. And it does it so slowly, so pleasantly, so agreeably, that you thank it while it destroys you. This is the moment, not next Monday, not after this season of your life settles down, not when things get easier. They will not get easier. The world will become louder, faster, more demanding of your attention with each passing year. The only thing that will ever change is the decision you make right now, the decision to become someone who is not for sale. The architecture of attention is not built in a day. It is built in the space between every distraction you refuse, every morning you reclaim, every hour you protect. It is built in the small, invisible choices that nobody celebrates and nobody witnesses, except the version of you that is slowly, irrevocably becoming someone capable of the life you have been imagining. Marcus, the man I told you about at the beginning, he made a choice, not a dramatic choice, not a public declaration, a quiet, private, ferocious choice to put the phone across the room every morning for 30 days, to protect 2 hours every afternoon with the same intensity he would protect a surgery, to stop rewarding his brain with novelty before it had earned it through effort. 30 days later, he had done more toward his vision than in the previous 2 years. Not because he became superhuman, but because he stopped letting distraction make decisions for him. You know what to do. The only question left is whether you are willing to accept the discomfort of actually doing it. If something in this video landed in a place where you usually keep things hidden, comment the word "focus" below. Not for the algorithm, for yourself. As a declaration, as the first small act of a person who has decided to take their mind back. And if you want to keep going deeper into power, psychology, and the philosophy of becoming someone the world cannot ignore, subscribe to this channel. Because we are not here for motivation, we are here for transformation. The weapon of the modern age is your attention, and every day you do not protect it, someone else is spending it for you.